welcome.
Formula 1 2014.
Oh, Crofty stole my thunder. Hello and welcome to Formula 1 2014. It is Friday morning, Thursday night, and the game has just unlocked on Steam, and I thought I would do a career, but to begin with we shall go through like the start. You've just seen the opening sequence, and we shall go through everything important. We'll skip through all the settings, so I'll skip through all this, and there we have it. So, this is something very new, the evaluation test. Many people think it's a bit pointless, but it's helpful for the casual market, I'd say, because it'll show what sort of settings they should go for. And I'm just going to bung it up to hard, and I will go for it, although I haven't done any of the settings yet, and it hasn't given me a choice. So, I don't really know if the steering is going to work. So we have a choice of the four cars: Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, and interestingly McLaren, who were at the start of the season not the fourth best and still aren't the fourth best. But we shall just go for the Mercedes for the sake of, well, it's the best car this year, so there's no reason not to. And it is showing me an Xbox controller, which is excellent because I'm using a wheel. The wheel is the Driving Force, the Logitech Driving Force GT, and so I may have to change the settings. It's quite surprising that it's not already found them as default, because in the previous games it has, so that's quite interesting, but we shall see. And this evaluation test will we'll do a race or a lap or something, I can't remember which one it is, and then it will pre-select settings that suit us. Now obviously they're not going to be perfect, but they should be alright, they shouldn't be that inaccurate. But I don't know if the steering is going to be the steering or if it's going to be keyboard inputs, so we shall see how this goes. So I am going to try the wheel, and hopefully it will work. Complete one lap, so it is just a single lap. And we do not have steering, or yeah, it's done that. So we shall quickly do the assists, well, the controls. So we have changed the settings, and we have changed a few of the assists because the racing line was on, and I don't want the racing line at all. And there we go, we have throttle, but we don't have brakes to begin with, because with the Logitech Driving Force GT, the brake doesn't really work when you first use it. Now right now the steering is very sensitive, so I'll probably want to tone that down, or just get used to it. But regardless, it's feeling interesting, but we shall see as we head down into the first real braking zone, because I missed the first one, and the car braked much quicker than I was expecting it to. And there is the oversteer that is so common with these new cars and that everyone is talking about. A bit on the grass there and a bit oversteering. Well, we're still oversteering, we're all over the shop. Not too bad. Second Degner, second Lesmo, same thing. But we're heading down to Ascari, and I need to definitely change the settings by quite a bit because the dead zone is huge right now. It's feeling horrible, so I shall have to adjust that. So I've removed all dead zone, and this feels already much better. I like having very slight steering on straights, but I'll probably want to change a few more of the settings because it's very snappy right now, but that will take time to get used to all the settings. And so we are in third out of fifth. This is quite interesting that there was only 5 cars there, but we shall see what this actually means. I doubt it will be very representative, to be honest, but no worries.
Good work, that's the test over.
So as you can see, the recommended difficulty is custom, which is obviously we don't know what you are good for, so we shall let you be. And there's the first achievement, which is good. And now they're showing me a wheel. Strangely, it's once again an Xbox wheel, and that's interesting. But once again, it's more for the consumer, for the general public, not typically the people who would have wheels. You know, they're the more sort of die hard, but they're not really die hard, but you know what I mean. So I shall also quickly change a few more settings. Right, so we have adjusted a few more settings, mainly graphical settings. I just had to tone it down a little bit because the frame rate was a bit iffy. But the first thing I'm going to do is just quickly jump into a 3 or 5 lap race at the A1 ring, I think, in the Williams. Now you shall see why I've chosen the Williams in a few seconds, once the race loads. We'll do a 5 lap race, we'll just do the race. The difficulty level, we shall... So we've got medium traction control right now. I'll probably turn it down later on, but until I get used to it, we shall turn... Yeah, we'll put that on to full. We shall turn this up to legend. Let's see what it's like. Leave the flashbacks on unlimited because we do not know what the handling is going to be like, and just for the sake of being safe, we shall put it on clear. Now let's find the A1 ring in the middle-ish of the season. The difficulty is 1 bar. That's an interesting. Interesting that Spa is 1 difficulty yet Hungary is 3. Don't know if I quite trust that. But let's go for a 5 lap race at the A1 ring. So here we are at the A1 ring, and as you can see, all the animations are the same. But what's that? Red lines on the car. They weren't in all the trailers in it. Such. This is actually a mod. The mod was released this morning before the game was released in the UK, and they have got the proper Williams livery, which is excellent. So we already have that, and I'll put that in the link below. In a link below, I shall leave the setup as normal, and we'll just go straight to track, and we'll just see what the game's like, see what the handling's like, and especially compared to last year, because I didn't enjoy last year's game as much as 2012. But it was alright, but the oversteer, the way that everything was more oversteery last year, I didn't enjoy as much. So we'll see how this is, because this is even more oversteery. So we'll see how the progression is. Then we have a Mercedes front row lockout, which it should be, although the Ferraris have got the second row locked out. And we're at quite an angle on the grid here. That is a huge angle we're at. But anyway, we shall rev up. And we shall see what we can do, starting from 6th. We get an alright start. Of course, no more KERS this year, it's all about ERS, and that's automatic. And we'll break down into turn 1. Careful on the throttle. And now up the inside of Raikkonen, we shall see what we can do. We should be able to take the position before the next corner, although he's still beside us. And also, another potentially mostly cosmetic thing is you'll see in the cars ahead, every now and then the pit limiter will light up, and that is when they are harvesting energy under braking, and that is, as you can see there, it's just a cool little cosmetic effect that's true to real life, and I was actually surprised that Codemasters added that, because that is something that they typically haven't done a lot of, but it's great to see that they have this year. Now, the handling is obviously very new, and I do need to still change these wheel settings, but we shall live on for now. We are currently in 4th place. The leaders are pulling away from us, but we are not being that much harassed by Raikkonen. And we are still getting used to the handling, so corner cutting is very accidental. But the A1 ring is looking lush and lovely. Now, Raikkonen is going to go for our outside, but we're going to brake, keep the position. We need to not have any wheel spin at all is the main key, because that is where speed is lost. So we need to try and keep the car as straight as we can on corner exits. And I'm still not too sure on some braking zones at the A1 ring, because it's been, well, the only game I've driven it on recently will be Grid Autosport, and I didn't drive on the full layout that much, but that was also in much slower cars. So at the moment we're just having to defend from Raikkonen, but we're not doing too bad of a job. He's had a look every now and then, and we've got a good exit there, so we've got a bit of a gap away from him. We're starting to get the handling a bit more set. Now, the A1 ring is a brilliant track. I'm so glad they brought it back. It's a very fun track to drive around. And the race this year, it wasn't the best race, but it wasn't that bad. So it's, it's an alright track for action. And Raikkonen has closed again, mainly in the last sector, and he's got the slipstream, and DRS has been enabled. A bit more oversteer on the exit, and Raikkonen has dropped back. Presumably he ran wide at turn 1, and Hulkenberg has taken the position. So the Force India are doing very well here. need to be very careful on that corner, on the corner exit, and Rosberg has just flown away. He is 6 seconds up the road. But we're not being harassed from behind terribly, so we can't be doing that slowly, surely. But no, it's not too bad. So the handling is obviously probably the biggest change from this year's game and last year's game. And at the moment, it feels similar to last year's, but it is different. You can feel it being different. Is it better? So far, I'd say yes, but I've obviously only done 3 laps of the A1 ring. Well, 4 now. So as we head on to the final lap, no, the penultimate lap, Hulkenberg has a run on us. But we get through turn 1 fine, although he's right behind us on our gearbox, so he may have a run into the next corner. And we also need to see, have the AI developed themselves? It doesn't really seem it. They still seem a bit lackluster to overtake, and will only do it if they clearly get the inside. Because, like, just there, Hulkenberg should have stayed up our inside, and he would have had a chance running down to this corner, but he didn't, he bailed, and, well, they should really be trying to overtake a bit more, which is a shame. So the hopes are on next year's game, to be honest. Big oversteer, but you can deal with it quite easily at the moment. And when I turn down the traction control, that'll be interesting to see how much more difficult it gets, but at the moment it seems bearable, well, very bearable. And the final 2 corners of the A1 ring are absolutely fantastic. Super high speed corners. As we, this time, head on to the final lap. Once again, Hulkenberg has the run, but he's just not going to the inside. He really should be going to the inside to try and overtake, but he's just not doing, which is a shame. And these are the Legend AI, so they are on the hardest difficulty. So really, they should be trying to go for overtakes, but they aren't. And we have the biggest train in the world behind us. We are clearly holding them up, but they're not overtaking us. And on the straights, we just get the gaps that we need, and only in certain corners do they really catch up again. Which is quite interesting. Partially this could be blamed on because I do not know the A1 ring in modern F1 cars, so I do not know where the braking points are, and I could be braking, and I presume I am doing, an awful lot more than I need to be doing, especially on the big braking corners. And perhaps they might be a bit more lively on the tracks that I know a bit more, hopefully. But we shall see as we head around the final corner. Bit of oversteer, but it's not a problem. Hamilton wins the race, Rosberg in 3rd, and we finish 4th, so not too bad. We started 6th, we gained 2 places. Our final lap was our fastest lap by a whole second, which is great, so it does show that we were improving. And Alonso was finished in 2nd, and as you can hear, our race engineer is the same guy from last year with all the same audio clips, so I presume they haven't changed that at all, which is a shame. But once again, we're more looking forward to next year's game than anything, to be honest. This is just a filler, really. So that was a 5-lap race at the A1 ring. I plan to do a couple more short 5-lap races before heading on to a potential career mode. So that was 5 laps at the A1 ring, and I shall see you next time.